Hey guys, Zach here, coming at you with my Season 12 review of Doctor Who. This one's going to be a long one. I'm pouring myself a cup of Pepsi. I'm sorry about any background noise you hear. My brother is really loud, so I apologize for any background noise you hear. But let's talk about Doctor Who Series 12. This isn't going to be a very edited video. It's going to be structured, but not edited, not really, professional. It's just going to be a sit down and talk about Doctor Who Season 12. And it's hard because this is going to be a long video, by the way, because I liked a lot of aspects of Season 12, but I also didn't like a lot of aspects of Season 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go by episode first. So I'm going to talk about episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., all the way to 10. And then I'll go into, specifics on the characters and the things I didn't like and all that kind of stuff. So, anyways, let's start off with Spyfall, Parts 1 and 2. Now, Spyfall Part 1 was... Actually, both of them were just meh. I didn't really like Spyfall. I think that's a kind of unpopular opinion, but I really didn't like Spyfall all that much. And people are going to be like, oh, but the Master came back. And I'm like, okay, other than that, what was there? I didn't really find anything else enjoyable besides the Master. And it's the Master was cool. The guy who played the Master, I don't know his name. He's done a great job so far. He's really good as the Master. He's one of the redeeming factors of the season for me. But other than that, there wasn't much there for me. It felt almost like a ripoff of the end of season 3 with Martha, with the Master and, Utopia and all that. It felt like a ripoff of that, but nowhere near as good. I mean, the scene where the 3 companions were standing there and the Master was telling them, oh, you guys are most wanted, and then their 3 faces came on the screen, come on, that was literally almost ripped from Last of the Time Lords or whatever episode that was, it was almost ripped from that. It's just crazy. It was just nowhere near as good. The stakes weren't high. It was almost like the episode was almost just comic relief the whole entire time. With the guy, I forget his name, that killed his mother, there was no build up to that. There was no real showing that he had mommy issues before then, so you really didn't see that. So him killing his mom was more so weird rather than emotional. And everything with the companions was just comic relief, with Graham and his tippy-tap dance shoes with the lasers in them. Yeah, it was just, no, it just wasn't great. There was no tension, there was no stress, before. You had the Doctor with, with Martha and Jack. You saw Martha's parents be enslaved, basically. You saw Jack being tortured. It was just absolutely crazy. But here, you don't have any of that. It's just underdeveloped, undercooked, just not good. And for a 2-parter to be underdeveloped is pretty bad, in my personal opinion. But that's enough of that. Next up is Orphan 55. Funny enough, I actually didn't mind this episode at first. When I first watched it, I didn't mind it as much. It wasn't great. No, there's only a couple episodes that I'd say are pretty good. But this is definitely not one of them. But I thought it was okay. Again, the whole theme for this series is that I'm reminded of a lot of some RTD or Russell T Davies era episodes. This episode reminds me a lot of Midnight. Except, again, with the Spyfall, it's just nowhere near as good. There's a paradise, there's a bus trip to a planet that no one's really got. It reminds me of Midnight. But again, nowhere near as good. The characters were nowhere near as developed. Oh my god. In Midnight, there was so much emotion, so much tension between the Doctor and everyone. Here, it's just there's nothing. You had the development between the father and the son, which I think is probably the best development there was in the episode. Just simply because it was something they were underlying the whole episode, that the father didn't trust in the son's abilities. So that was, I guess, the best development there was. Then you had the mother and daughter thing, which really felt half-baked. And then you had the elderly couple, which was horrible. It was so abrupt what happened with the old man. There was no lead up to it. It's oh, will you marry me? Oh, can you kill me? Most people just laughed with it because there wasn't any emotion behind it. With the old woman go, oh, Benny! It was just funny. And it shouldn't be funny. Whenever there was a death in old Doctor Who, usually there was some sort of emotion behind it. Here, there was almost none with the old man's death. It was almost laughable. The old woman's sacrifice was nice once she was like, there's nothing to live for, but still, like, just nothing in the episode was developed. And then, of course, at the end with the whole lecture, the whole episode obviously was focused around the environment. Like, once we figured out that Orphan 55 was Earth, it was like, oh, okay, we screwed up with the environment, the Earth is destroyed. Message received. But then you had this 2-minute spiel at the end. Like, I think you didn't need to do that. That was completely unnecessary, and it made the audience feel like you were lecturing at them, rather than the message being shown through the episode, which it was. So then you're adding this on top of it, which makes the audience feel like you think they're stupid, because they're not getting the message of the episode. Which is stupid. And a lot of people hated this episode. This is a lot of people's least favorite episodes, and it's obvious why. So that's it for Orphan 55. So next up is Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. This is actually an episode I liked. I liked this episode quite a bit. There was a lot to it. There was some tension. We really got a nice historical look on things. It was really good. I was initially really scared for this episode because I didn't like the first 3 episodes that much. Why would I like the 4th one? But no, this one was really good. Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison were both played really, really well. Both of the actors did a great job. The villain was okay. It was almost like the Rachnos. Again, another nod to RTD Who. So it was almost like the Rachnos, but they didn't reference the Rachnos, which I thought was a weird approach. Because usually when there are monsters that are similar to each other in Who, they usually reference, for example, in Love and Monsters, as much as everyone hates that episode, they're like, oh, the Absorbaloff, you look kind of like a Slitheen, do they have any relation? Usually the Doctor will do that, try to analyze things. But there wasn't any of that, which I thought was a little bit weird, because the Doctor usually does that, but regardless, that's a nitpicky thing. But one thing on this episode is where I really noticed it, and this happens quite a few times throughout the series, but this episode in particular, I hate how the Doctor uses the Sonic so much to do things. The Sonic it's a sonic screwdriver. It's used to be a tool to open doors or something like that. The Doctor will get answers about things going on in the environment from the sonic screwdriver. From my recollection, the sonic screwdriver never did that. She would wave the Sonic around and look at it as if it had it doesn't have a screen, does it? Everything I've seen the sonic screwdriver, it doesn't have a screen on it that tells the Doctor what it is. So she'll look at it and read something off of it, but you don't. What's she reading? I don't get that at all. But other than that, good episode. I thought that because obviously the leader of the Hive was the main villain, and then the rest of them, the minions, were just scorpions. That was a little lame-ish, because especially last season we had spiders, now we have scorpions. It's a little bit lame, but they've never they've always they've done animals as villains before, so this is excusable. It's fine. Yeah, overall pretty good episode. I liked it quite a bit. Episode 5, Fugitive of the Judoon. Oh boy, this one's interesting. Funny enough, I actually really like this episode too. For the most part. There are parts that completely take me out of the episode, but we'll get to those in a bit. Let's start with what I like. I like the Judoon. I think they were performed really, really well. I think they looked really, really good. Such an evolution from Smith and Jones. Again, another reference to older Who. Smith and Jones. This is almost like Smith and Jones. It's Smith and Jones. Judoon here, they're cataloging. They're, you will be cataloged. Or this time it's a stamp, but But yeah, it's a good Judoon episode. I liked it because it wasn't them being pulled to the moon again. They're on the Earth, which they're not supposed to be, and the Doctor knows that. So they're out of their jurisdiction, and it's a little more tense than, not more tense than Smith and Jones, but still really, really good. I like this Judoon story. A good follow-up to Smith and Jones. I like it. Really, really good. I think the characters in general did a good job. Doctor, even the companions were okay. The Ruth Doctor was okay. Her companion was okay. Jack coming back is really, really cool. So, yeah, I really, really like that aspect of the episode, and thankfully that was most of the episode. And I really, really liked that. But there were quite a few things I didn't like about the episode. Firstly, obviously, let's get this one out of the way, the fugitive Doctor. Um, I didn't like I liked how Joe Martin performed as the fugitive doctor, but seeing as how obviously it all came out in the Timeless Children, it doesn't make sense that the fugitive doctor. To me, the biggest thing is that the fugitive doctor has a police box TARDIS. That's the part that doesn't make sense to me, and it completely takes me out of the episode. Because we know now that she's before William Hartnell, so how does she have a police box TARDIS? Or how does she have a TARDIS that's a police box? So that really takes me out of the episode, like a ridiculous amount. Maybe too much, like maybe I'm too nitpicky about that, but that's just such a big continuity error, or just not even continuity error, just a big lore error. Like you're trying to like squeeze this in, but you miss that one detail, which is a pretty big detail. To me, it just doesn't make sense. That it just doesn't make sense. But another thing I like, or sorry, the thing I didn't like, and a lot of people might not agree with me about this, but let me explain why. It's Jack. Here's why. John Barrowman did a great job. It's Jack. It's obviously Jack. Love it. But how he was used was stupid. He should have been in the episode, like with the Doctor, working with the Doctor, with the Judoon and all that. Because all he was there for was to say, beware the lone Cybermen. And I feel like they did that just so that they could say they had Jack in the season. Because think about it. Any other character could have delivered that line. The Judoon. Or the fugitive doctor. Because we saw her with in the Childless Children episode. So, she could have said it. Or the Gallifreyan woman could have said it. Whatever her name was. Gat, right? Something like that. So why did Jack have to say it? It would have been one thing if Jack said it and then returned in Timeless Children and essentially the Cybermen, but he didn't. So it's like, I feel like they just had him in there to say that they had Jack in season 12. And I don't like that. Like, doing fan service is one thing, but you can't just do it just to, like, say, oh, we have Jack in season 12. That means it's good. That means it's a good season. No. You have to actually use him. Especially the fact that he didn't interact with the Doctor. That, I think, really sat with me the wrong way. Seeing him interact with the companions was pretty cool. Like, with the new companions rather than the usual Rose or Martha or whoever. So that's really, really cool. But, I don't know. I just don't really know. So yeah, Future of the Judoon, good episode. Just a lot of little things that bothered me. So yeah, let's move on to episode 6, which is Praxeus, I believe. Another environmental message episode. Better than Orphan 55, but still not a good episode. I liked the threat. I liked the threat of, like, the thing going up your face. Ooh, I like that. It kind of almost gave me Vashta Nerada vibes, but I feel like this is the only episode so far that felt completely unique, that didn't feel like it was inspiring off of something done before, which, again, it's completely okay. But I don't know. Like, it felt like every single episode, besides Fugitive of the Judoon, was like a ripoff of a RTD era episode and just didn't do it as well. So here we have a completely unique idea. And it was just not great. The side characters were mostly forgettable. I barely remember any of them. I think there was there's a gay couple in that episode, right? And they had like a big revolutionary kiss. And it was like, okay, like the thing is, like, weren't they married or something? So it's like that. So them kissing and like being like that, it to me it didn't have much emotional weight. Like, so many people were like, oh yay, gay representation in Doctor Who. And like how big a moment the kiss was, but I'm like, weren't they like already together in the first place? So it's like, it's just another kiss for them. Like, it would have been cool if like one of them was in the closet and like they liked each other, but they were like scared to admit it, and then something like that happened. That would have been cooler. But regardless though, I forgot every other character. I remember some characters died in the episode, and there was like literally no weight. Like, I think there's one character that died on the beach, and no one said anything. Like, the Doctor didn't say anything. Like, Doctor was like, where's X person? Like, there's no... Then why was that character there if their death was going to be so meaningless and they were going to serve no purpose to the plot? Like, it just didn't make sense to me at all. The episode was stupid. I didn't like it. I think like this is the first episode. Like a few of them were boring before, like Spyfall and to me and such. But this is the first one where I felt it really dragged. I was just like, okay, let's wrap this episode up. Especially because these episodes are longer than before. Like it's about an hour and 10 minutes or something like that. Like while I'm watching it on TV, like with commercials and such. So it's like, I don't know. I don't like that. So yeah, so that's episode 6. Episode 7 is Can You Hear Me? I feel like this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but I don't like this episode. I didn't like it much. Firstly, the whole part with the girl, in like whatever country she was from, some Middle Eastern country. What was her purpose? Why was she there? Like, yeah, it was because it was her nightmares, but again, kind of like with the Jack thing, it just literally could have been anyone's nightmare. So why did it have to be her? Because other than that, she didn't serve any purpose to the plot. There's literally nothing that she did that was like important. She was just there with the doctor and the companions and such. So it was just another person there with the crew. Like, and the fact that she didn't do anything just makes her character pointless. In fact, if anything, I think it would have been cooler if it was Ryan's friend that had the monster thing, like that's associated with his nightmares, because there was a little bit of build up with him, which was good, but there was no payoff from it. Besides, obviously, he went to the counseling and all that at the end. So it just, I don't know, just nothing good came of it. And this is another episode with another social, political almost message, which is depression, which depression is a little more like open-ended than environment, because I don't want to go into it, but I feel like, kind of like Orphan 55, it did a good job of displaying it through the episode, to where a lot of the stuff at the end was unnecessary or just could have been trimmed. And it's hard to explain because some of the stuff was needed, like Yaz's development, because Yaz is a completely flat character and has been since Series 11. So the fact that she's finally getting something now is needed. But it does kind of feel forced in there, because Yaz was not an integral part of the episode in the slightest. Like, in fact, if anything, Ryan was, and even Graham. Like, those two were heavily pushed with Graham's cancer and Ryan's friend. So, Yaz getting a bunch of attention at the end was really oddly placed for me. But it was needed because of how underdeveloped her character is. So, it's kind of like double-edged sword there. And I don't know, just that much time devoted to it all just really seemed forced. I don't know how else to describe it. And then you had the doctor and Graham's conversation, and the whole community is split on that. On if the doctor was like if that was if that was a personality trait of the doctor to be that socially awkward, or if it wasn't. I'm in the boat that it wasn't. It's not like Graham is like opening up to her about something weird. He's scared of dying. He's scared of getting cancer and dying. Like, whenever someone has a fear of dying, the doctor has always been reassuring. And even if the doctor doesn't quite know what to say, the doctor wouldn't say, oh, I don't know how to respond to this, so I'll get back to you later on that. No, the doctor would never say something like that. The doctor would be like, you have the will to keep going. So as long, he or she would do or say something like that, some sort of motivational. If the doctor had said some sort of if the doctor had said some sort of motivational message, that would have been super, super cool. But she didn't. She just said, oh, I'm socially awkward. I don't know what to say. I'll think of what I was supposed to say, and I'll think, no. That's not the doctor. That is really not the doctor, and it really irritated me. Like, literally, when I was watching that episode and the doctor said that, my jaw dropped. Because I'm like, you have a companion opening up to you about having cancer and being afraid of dying. Or not having cancer, but is fearing going back into cancer. Like, having cancer again and dying. And you say that. That is very not the doctor, which I'll mention later. But, like, yeah, no. So then, we have, after that, we have what I call the 3-part finale. So let's start with the haunting of Via Dati. I think that's how it's pronounced. Another good episode. I like that episode. I can't think of anything bad really about it. I think the side characters were decently developed. Not like as much as I would have liked, but enough to where it's like I get what each character's just is, and I had a kind of attachment to them. I liked that. The Cybermen twist wasn't as surprising since we got told about it from Jack. But I didn't completely expect it, so it was a decent surprise. Um, I like haunted house stuff. For you guys who know, like Luigi's Mansion and all that. So I really like the haunted house aspect of the episode as well. It was just a good episode overall. A lot of like tense moments. A lot of like where the doctor is just like not sure of what's going on and not sure what to do. There are a couple weird shots. Like I remember there's a shot where the lone Cyberman, was holding Shelly's baby, and it was like, oh, what are we going to do? And then the next time it came to the Cyberman was like standing in an office, like looking through things. I'm like, okay, you're not gonna show us like what they did to the baby. Like it's just a really really weird shot. But other than that, I think it was a decent episode. Yeah. Then we get on to Ascension of the Cybermen. Probably my favorite episode of the season. I think the episode was really good. You felt the tension. There was a bit of development with the characters, the side characters. There was development there. The companions had their time to shine. There was just so much good about this episode. Like, a ridiculous amount that was good. The Cybermen. One thing I didn't mention is that this season, with the returning villains being the Master, the Cybermen, the Judoon, Chris Chibnall has done a great job with the returning villains. Not so much with the new ones, but the returning ones, yes. And here's no different. The Cybermen were menacing. They were scary and threatening, and I loved it. I loved every minute the Cybermen were on the screen. And the fact that obviously not the lone Cybermen, but the other Cybermen, some of them had like almost the Cybus look, from Doomsday and all that. I love that. They looked great. And then you had the throwback Cybermen. Those looked cool. The episode overall was just great, and such a great build-up to an epic finale, which wasn't a great episode. Timeless Children. I wasn't a huge fan of that episode. I mean, let's get the obvious thing out of the way. The Timeless Child. That ruined the season for me. That literally is the one thing that just completely ruined the season for me. Like, you know what could have worked? If the Timeless Child was the Master. Why wasn't the Timeless Child the Master? That could explain why the Master has always been irrational, erratic, mad, angry, vengeful. It could explain everything. To where, he has memory wise, but maybe there's still a bit inside of him that remembered that past, where the Time Lords used him, abused him, just completely trashed his life. And that anger is still inside of him, even though they wiped his memory. They could have done so much with that. But they didn't. They made it the Doctor. Completely rewriting everything about the Doctor. Which inherently isn't a bad thing. If they do it right. And they didn't. They made the Doctor almost like a god, basically. Unlimited regenerations, which completely throws off Smith's regeneration, Eleven's regeneration. Completely throws that all off because, he was aging, he was getting old, he was dying, not regenerating, quote unquote. So that makes this whole thing make no sense. I don't understand it. And then you have all the other loopholes about River's song, and obviously, like I said, Joe Martin's TARDIS. None of it makes sense. Chris Chibnall has left more questions than answers. And honestly, for people who, it's hard because people like me who've watched Doctor Who since I was a kid. I'm 21 now. I've watched Doctor Who since I was I started with 10 in Rose. That was 2006. So I was 8. So I've been watching ever since I was 8. It turns fans like me away because it rewrites everything. So it's like, okay, now I gotta learn Doctor Who all over again from scratch? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And for older fans who watched classic Who and did like Russell T Davies era Who, or Moffat Who, or both, and then this happens, that's going to turn them away too. I've been watching so many people who are fans of Doctor Who, like Bolstrek, Nerdtronic, all that. I like them. They're really, really good. They are just so turned off by it to where it's just like, it's just stupid. And here's a little plot hole that I noticed too. You know when the Doctor is doing that thing where she's like thinking and then like the Matrix goes through her memories? How is Jack in there? Jack was in there from the Fugitive of the Jadoon episode, but she never saw him. So how is he in her memory? A little bit of a plot hole if you ask me, but regardless, I mean, and then they took away all the scariness of the Cybermen too. Like, I mean, the beginning part of the episode happened, but then when they turned into like Time Lords and wearing the goofy Time Lord apparel, they just lost all scariness and menacingness. The Doctor is standing there surrounded by like 20 Cybermen and the Master. All these Cybermen can regenerate. And she has time to talk to the old man that comes into the room for like 20 seconds, then runs out as he pushes the button. I'm sorry. If there are two people, heroes, talking to each other, and there's 30 freaking villains around you, and no one shoots or does anything, they deserve to die at that point. Like you're letting the Doctor talk to someone. Like, it's just so stupid. The whole episode was just stupid. Like, it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. Alright. So that's the episode recap. I've already spent way too long on this video, so let's talk about the companions. Or the characters. Doctor. Much better this season than season 11, but that's not a high benchmark to really hit. She really wasn't the Doctor in season 11 for me. She was all happy-go-lucky, occasional sadness. She's very two-sided. It wasn't like a whole string of emotions with her. It was very, like a light switch, almost. Here, we saw a more broad set of emotion, or a broad sense of emotions, which is great, especially in the later half of the season. But I don't like her chemistry with the companions. Like, usually, like, especially with the 10th Doctor, actually, no, the 11th Doctor had this a lot, too, and even 12. Like, you saw their chemistry with the companions. Like, think about the Doctor and Donna, particularly. How they interacted. How they had that witty banter in the TARDIS, all the time. And then you look at 12 or 13 and the companions. It would either be the Doctor sitting on the stairs talking to the companions, or the companions sitting on the stairs talking to the Doctor, who's either at the console unit or right in front of them. There's never any like fast-paced running around action around the TARDIS. There's never any energetic energy like that. It's always like, we'll always be here for you, Doc. You know, you think we don't know you, but we know you in the now. It's like that's so generic. It's generic dialogue. There's no chemistry between them. Especially with the fact, I'm going to quickly go through the companions here. Graham, what a train wreck this season he was. He was basically comic relief, and that is so unfortunate. Comic relief is not a bad thing, essentially, but a character like Graham doesn't need to be comic relief, because you built him up so much in season 11, to where he was my favorite in season 11. He was really, really good. He had a lot of build-up, he had the most development of the three companions, he was great. But then you reduce him to comic relief with his tippy-tap shoes and having to go pee in the mansion. Like you just reduced him to like nothing. It's so stupid. And then you have Ryan. Oh my lord, he was so emotionless. Didn't do anything. He was just kind of there. What, he had like something in Orphan 55 that he did? Like just standing there, sucking his thumb, talking to a girl? Like, that's really all he did all season. And his disability wasn't mentioned once. Besides, I guess, in the first and last episode with the basketball thing reference, but other than that, that's it. Yaz got the most development, but she only got development in the later half of the season. So it was like what was the point? Like, what's the point of having three companions if you're not going to properly develop any of them? They all sucked. They all really, really sucked this season. The only good character that I noticed this season was the Master. He is the only one that was consistently good, consistently had a good energy, was a really good mix of John Sims, Master, and Missy, and just was great, you know? I mean, he was great. Other than that, characters were stupid. And now, like I said, the Doctor, like, you know, with the conversation with Graham, was just so not the Doctor. The Doctor felt a lot more like the Doctor this season than last, but there's just so much work Jodie has to do to actually really fit into the role. I don't know. Like, it's really, really hard for me because there are so many things I liked about the season. There were well, not quite a few, but a few good episodes. I think I liked a total of 4 out of the 10, which is more I can say than from season 11. Season 11, I think I liked 1, which was Kerblam. That was the only one I liked. Like, I don't know. Like, every episode just didn't do anything for me, really. I mean, besides the 4 that I mentioned, what was it? It was Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, Fugitive of the Judoon, which, again, was half and half, Haunting of Viadati, and Ascension of the Cybermen. But it's bad. Like, it's 4 out of 10 that are good. That's a 40%. That's not great. That's really not great. Like, even season 2. Season 2 I have a love-hate relationship with because I love this season most. Like, some of the episodes were so like Fear Her and all that, and The Idiot's Lantern, but it was made up by David Tennant's performance and his chemistry with Rose. That kind of stuff made me at least like-ish the episode. Even if, like, the rest of it was crap, I at least like David Tennant. Especially in, what was it? Is it Fear Her? Where, or no, I think it might be The Idiot's Lantern. I don't remember. But one of them where they were in, like, the 1950s London or whatever, when they had to basically invade the family's home. His attitude when he was talking to the father guy, perfect. Like, that was David Tennant's Doctor coming out right there in such an early episode of his run. But here, you didn't really you had a couple moments of that with Jodie, but not many. But yeah, I guess that's really it. And like I said earlier about the Sonic, it's really, like, the Sonic, like, usually the Doctor figures things out by asking questions and observing. That's how the Doctor figures everything out. Look at Silence of the Library. He went into that library not knowing anything, but he figured it out not using his sonic screwdriver, but using his mind. But in, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, she used her sonic screwdriver to find someone who was taking pictures out of a window. Like, are you kidding me? That's so stupid. Literally, just look out the window. You all have eyes. Like, what, were glasses not invented? It's so stupid. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else really to mention besides... Oh, and another thing, actually, with Timeless Children. The Judoon teleported into the TARDIS. I thought things couldn't teleport into the TARDIS like that. Literally, what was the first thing the Ninth Doctor said to Rose when she got into the TARDIS? Oh, something, something can never break this TARDIS. Believe me, they've tried. So something like, it's just, I don't get it. I really don't get it. So, I think I'm just done here now, guys. This video's gone on too long. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All that down below. And until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video.